Hi, this is David the Storyteller back again. What if I told you there was a man who could predict when world-class athletes would fail before they even had an inkling themselves? His name was Vic Braden, and what he discovered may change how you see your own mind. At the Indian Wells tennis tournament in the US, Vic Braden sat in the stands with a notepad. He wasn't a player. He wasn't a judge. He was just a tennis coach. But he was about to do something impossible. As each player stepped up to serve, Braden wrote down his prediction. Double fault. Double fault. Double fault. By the end of the tournament, he had correctly predicted 16 out of 17 double faults. Just imagine that. Before the players had an inkling it was going to happen. But here's what kept Braden awake at night. He had absolutely no idea how he was doing it. These were top players who rarely double faulted. How could he know? This mystery caught the attention of Malcolm Gladwell, the best-selling author who uncovers hidden patterns in human behaviour. Now, Braden had been studying tennis players for decades. Thousands of hours of footage he had. He decided to ask the world's greatest players a simple question. How do you hit your forehand? Pretty simple, eh? And every single player gave the same answer. I roll my wrist at the moment of impact. Simple. Andre Agassi said it. Every world champion said the same thing. And then Braden did something that kind of changed everything. He put their swings under a microscope, frame by frame analysis. Digital precision down to an eighth of a degree. And what he found out was shocking. They weren't rolling their wrist at all, not a single one of them. At impact, their wrists were rock solid. All of them, every one of them. The greatest tennis players in the world were completely wrong about their own technique. But it gets worse. Coaches everywhere were teaching this wrist roll technique. Players paid hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, to learn something that just didn't exist. The result? Well, an explosion of tennis injuries. Gladwell realised this wasn't just about tennis, or even really about tennis. This was about human psychology. Your conscious mind creates stories about what you're doing, but your unconscious mind is the one actually running the show. Now, Braden could predict failures because his unconscious mind was reading microsignals, body language, breathing patterns, the details his conscious mind couldn't see and didn't appreciate. And this is why great athletes often make terrible coaches. They don't know what they're doing right, so they can't teach it. Meanwhile, players like Agassi were reverse engineering their success, making up explanations for actions actually they performed unconsciously, but told themselves it was conscious. Gladwell calls this the locked box. The part of your brain you can't unlock to find out why you do what you do. It's everywhere. The surgeon who knows something's wrong but can't explain why. The parent who knows their child is lying. The investor who feels something's off about a deal even though everything looks right. Your unconscious mind processes thousands of signals every second. Most of the time, it knows things your conscious mind hasn't figured out yet. So the next time you have a gut feeling you can't explain, you trust it. Sometimes the most important knowledge lives inside a lockbox, And sometimes you can know without knowing why you know. But here's the deeper truth. When we teach others, when we mentor, when we pass on what we think are the secrets of our success, we're really just sharing stories. Stories we've created to explain our achievements. We're not lying, we believe them, but they're stories. But these stories rarely come close to the locked box where the real truth lies. The actual mechanism of our expertise remains hidden behind the veil, even from ourselves. So maybe the best mentors aren't those who claim to know exactly how they do what they do. Maybe they're the ones honest enough to say, I don't really know how this works, but let's figure it out together. What signals is your unconscious mind picking up that you're ignoring? And what stories are you telling yourself about how you succeed? The answer? Well, it might surprise you. Thank you. Thanks for joining me for another story that just needed telling. If you enjoy this tale, well, there are plenty more where that came from. From courtroom battles with music legends to life lessons learned at 35,000 feet. Each story here will change how you see the world, just a little bit maybe. Hit subscribe to catch the next story, because sometimes the best tales find you when you least expect them.